everyone, Pushing Up Roses here, and I hope you like sex.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
If you recall from the last episode of That Time on Murder, She Wrote, we examined the sins of Cabot Cove, which was a little spicy, a little scandalous, and full of gossiping, fun characters. It's one of my favorites because it took place in the show's fictional town of Cabot Cove and featured some of its residents, mostly the older women who like to chat at the local beauty shop. It was a pretty straightforward plot with an okay twist, but I think I have the episode to top it. Today I'm looking at If It's Thursday, It Must Be Beverly, a title which will make sense way later on. I should say that this episode did come before the sins of Cabot Cove, so these characters were already established, as was Loretta's beauty shop. We have Eve Simpson, Phyllis Grant, Ideal Malloy, and Loretta Spiegel. We start out with the ladies all gossiping about something, and even Jessica is there getting her hair done. The ladies all seem to be in a hurry, as they do have lives to lead and businesses to run.
If I don't get back to the office, my computer is going to get lonely.
It's a little boxy, but it knows how to spread sheets. The rumor mill is disrupted by a rather boisterous mailman. I am disappointed in the lack of bend and snaps. He's not just there to deliver the mail, he's also there to push the lottery and convinces the women to buy tickets.
I must say, I feel like I'm going to get lucky today.
That would be ideal. Also, you have no idea how true that statement is. This whole episode is about getting lucky, and not just with money. I guess as a way to make extra cash, the mailman buys these special lottery tickets from New Hampshire and sells them to people in Cabot Cove for a little more. Actually, I don't even think he's upcharging, so I have no idea why he's going around trying to get people to buy them. Nope, not shady at all. A new character who doesn't say much, named Audrey Martin, is also there getting her hair done. As Jess is leaving, Loretta expresses sympathy for Audrey, implying that she is having marital problems.
I've always considered it a part of my job to get people to open up to me. But when the trouble's in the bedroom...
Then you must inflate the mushroom. A proverb. It's Seth! Yay! I cannot wait to experience another Oscar-worthy performance from Doc Hazlitt. He's seen dropping off his secretary, Beverly, at the beauty shop. Can I just take a moment to express how much I love the platonic relationship between Seth and Jessica? There have been a couple love interests for her over the 12 seasons of this show, but I always liked that she didn't really need a guy after her husband passed, and it's just nice seeing her and Seth have a humorous and friendly bond. They go antiquing, solve mysteries, and cook questionable Italian food together. I think the writers could have easily felt like they needed to write in a suitor for Jessica, but they never did, and I think the show really benefits because of it. Audrey's husband, Jonathan, the town's night deputy, comes to pick her up, but refuses to go into the shop.
You know I hate going in there.
There's women in there! We get a brief peek at their home life, which shows an inebriated Audrey lamenting about... Actually, I'm not quite sure what she's sad about, she's just kind of lamenting in general. The deputy is called out to get Eve Simpson's cat out of a tree, and Audrey is not happy about this. She tells him she should have married someone else who could take her dancing all night. This grinds Jonathan's gears.
I should have married Charlie Wilson when I had a chance.
Fuck these flowers! Urgh. As Jess and Seth are working on their dinner, Sheriff Tupper shows up.
Hope I'm not interrupting anything.
Best fishing spots, really? It looks like Tupper is trying to move between Seth and Jessica, but I assure you he is not interested in Jess. He's just really hungry all the time and can smell spaghetti sauce from 5 miles away. He seems to like the sauce that Seth made, but feels instantly ill after he finds out it's calamari.
It's... squid.
Everyone is interrupted by a phone call, which is conveniently for Tupper.
Yes, Flossie?
Sheriff, don't eat the squid! After a brief phone call, Tupper learns that his night deputy, Jonathan Martin, can't be found and there were gunshots heard at the Martins' house.
It's just that a shot's been heard at his house.
I don't know what it means. So, this woman's dead? Audrey is found in her home, shot in the chest with a gun in her hand. Sheriff Tupper immediately assumes she ended her own life, but the angle of the shot would have been pretty awkward, and Jess makes the observation that women don't typically use firearms in this situation. They are more likely to take pills, which Audrey had plenty of. Her husband finally comes home and he laments.
This was the high point of her life.
When she bought this picture frame. Jonathan's spare gun was found at the scene of the crime and he doesn't have an alibi for the exact time of death, so he becomes the main suspect. He expresses disbelief that she would take her own life.
But I never dreamed she'd use it to kill herself.
Ladies usually take pills.
Are you serious? Did he just repeat what Jessica said earlier without crediting her? As a woman on the internet, let me just say, big fucking mood. The next day at the beauty shop, Audrey's death is the subject of speculation.
At Eve, Audrey killed herself.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Maybe I killed her. Tupper tries to interrogate the women about Audrey, but he just kind of gets an earful. Jess asks him how speaking to the ladies went, and he responds with mild annoyance.
Women.
Oh my god, Jessica's eyes, they are lasers of doom! Jessica, sensing something is off, goes to Phyllis and asks her a few questions about Audrey. Phyllis didn't seem to be too fond of her.
Audrey was much happier being miserable, if you know what I mean.
She loved the Smiths. Now, if you'll excuse me, my computer's getting lonely. And now, my favorite part of this episode. As Jess is working, Jonathan pays her a visit, trying to convince her that he didn't kill his wife. He begs her to help him prove his innocence, and she agrees to it, except she has this pesky crick in her neck. He offers to rub her shoulders.
And I've got just the cure for that stiff neck.
Some vitamin D. I'm not kidding. Jessica starts to get aroused while he's rubbing her neck.
Oh, he had the most wonderful hands.
She realizes things are getting a little steamy and the doorbell rings, which she is very grateful for. I was kind of waiting for this to turn into a devil's threesome, but she takes her mail and tries to usher him out once George, the mailman, sees Jonathan standing in the living room. You know, the sheriff's station has a strange amount of fish on the walls. I just needed you to know that. While there, Jess informs Tupper that Jonathan might not be who everyone thinks he is, explaining that since he was willing to make a pass on her, he might be willing to make a pass on someone else, and killing Audrey would make him available for whoever it was he was sleeping with. They take a look at the logbook and notice the deputy has been helping Eve Simpson get her cat out of a tree every Tuesday for months, and it would take something like 2.5 hours. They confront her on the matter.
She's a very bad cat.
She needs punishing. Jonathan admits that they were indeed having sex. Loretta, beauty shop guru and gossip specialist, tells Jess that Ideal was also having sex with Jonathan on Mondays. They check on the other days of the week too, and yep, there's a lady for each day. Deputy Martin was bonking everyone.
Oh, no.
They figure out that Phyllis's day was Wednesday, and she confirms it. Jess begins to speculate that the women could have wanted somebody to bond with more than the sex itself. The ladies were either divorced or widowed, and perhaps they just wanted companionship.
It was good, clean sex once a week.
Or maybe they just wanted a good hard dicking. This is Beverly, and her day, of course, is Thursday.
According to the logbook, if it's Thursday, it must be Beverly.
I love her. She's super confident and unashamed.
I'm going out there in the world and have some fun.
I'm gonna boink all the boys in the yard. My milkshake. While Eve Simpson is stopping by Jonathan's house to drop off some salmon mousse, she realizes that she was not the only woman in his life. In fact, none of the women knew about each other. They all believed that Jonathan would leave Audrey to be with one of them.
Oh, no.
Jess attempts to talk to Loretta, wondering if any of the women felt cast away by Jonathan, but she says no. They all seemed happy.
But then Jonathan does seem to have amazing stamina, doesn't he? Sort of makes you wonder what he's got that's so special.
Oh god, the beauty assistant is listening very intently to this. Don't do it, Corinne! Don't be lured in by the stamina! Oh, Corinne, no, come on! Even Loretta had a relationship with him, though she and the other ladies all have alibis. So who did it? Who is even left in this episode? The sex scandal, the gossip, the logbook, all red herrings. The real murderer was George the mailman. Why? Because he wanted to win the lottery. Oh yeah, this jumped the shark harder than Final Fantasy IX. Remember those tickets he was selling at the beginning of the episode? Well, Audrey ended up having the winning ticket. George found out about this and stole it. At the end of the episode, Jess confronts him as he is getting ready to flee the country after winning the lottery. He almost gets away with this, but Jess, being the amazing, beautiful, perceptive woman that she is, noticed that at the crime scene, Audrey's ticket was missing. He disposed of all of the New Hampshire Weekly magazine so no one would read about the winning tickets, then snuck over to Audrey's house to steal hers. George gets upset, claiming self-defense. When he went to steal the ticket, Audrey heard him and pulled a gun on him, and she was killed when he tried to fight her for it. Yeah, I bet he's just all torn up after winning $2 million. Right, final thoughts. Getting to this conclusion is just amazing. It's honestly one of the most far-fetched solutions I've ever seen on this show. Jessica figures it out because she was reminded of the ticket when she was questioning Loretta at the beauty parlor, then abruptly remembers Seth saying he hadn't gotten his New Hampshire Weekly, and jeez, Jess has a phenomenal perception stat. I really only came to this conclusion by process of elimination because George was the only character left in this episode. I did greatly enjoy this one because it was a little higher on the absurdity scale and had some very campy moments, I also couldn't wait to see who else Deputy Martin was shagging. This episode took me on a ride. We started with a slow incline of gossip, plummeted into extramarital affairs, peaked at the salmon moose, and then ended on a twist about the lottery. I was kinda hoping Jess would finally get some love and affection though. Just because she's a single woman doing it for herself doesn't mean she can't get some attention, though I can see her hesitation since the dude was a murder suspect. But Friday was open on the calendar, just saying. Tom Bosley as Sheriff Tupper is always charming, his reactions are hilarious, but as a character I still prefer Sheriff Metzger, who began his run in Season 5. Metzger often takes a back seat to Jessica's own investigations, but he is still a little more energetic on the cases. Even in this episode, the characters imply that Tupper was kind of bumbling and imperceptive.
And I know if I have to rely on Sheriff Tupper to find the real killer, I'll be sent up the river before you know it.
Oh, no.
It's kind of meandering, but if you like the recurring characters of Cabot Cove and don't mind that the mystery itself isn't meant to be solved, then I don't think you'll be disappointed with If It's Thursday, It Must Be Beverly. If you have an episode of Murder, She Wrote you are dying to see me cover, please leave a suggestion in the comments. I do consider them. And until then, happy sleuthing. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode of That Time on Murder, She Wrote, and if you want more, I have more. But first, have you ever thought, man, I wish I could get rid of this extra money I have lying around? Well, there's a solution to that. I have a Patreon campaign where you can donate small amounts of money to my channel so I can keep it running smoothly and so I can buy coffee so I can stay awake. If you don't have extra income, no worries. Likes, comments, and shares also mean a lot to me. If you want to see previous episodes on Murder, She Wrote, I linked a couple on the screen for you. On the left, you will find an episode that features LeVar Burton, Jerry Orbach, and Adam West, and on the right, you will find the last episode I reviewed, which features the Cabot Cove crew and salacious gossip. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.